Alright, so today I want to talk about the influx of these furry convention infiltration videos that have been popping up in the past few years. You've probably seen at least one of these before, where some normie, non-furry YouTuber goes to a furry convention for the first time, infiltrate or go undercover to the furry convention, they interview attendees, they just go around talking about their experiences, most have a good time, and most are pretty respectful of the community at the end of the day. Like 9 times out of 10, these videos are very respectful of the community, they're really encouraging people to think about the community, that hey, they're just people who are weird that enjoy this niche little hobby. Whether it's the Strange Ions video from 6 or so years ago, even before COVID, or the most recent video where I went undercover to a furry convention by Love Live Serve. That video was really sweet. The only downside to it, they didn't go to a furry convention. They went to a fur meet. They interviewed a furry or a fursuit maker initially. The fursuit maker had some of their friends over and they talked to them. And then the day later, they went to a local fur meet and talked to and interviewed a bunch of the people there. The takeaway was good and positive at the end of the day, but they didn't go to a furry convention. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of over embellishing. I mean, realistically, they could have titled it like, I went undercover to a furry meetup. Like, that would have still been pretty cool and enticing for a video title, but I know why a lot of people just kind of go with the usual of like, I went undercover to a furry convention, I spent this amount of time at a furry convention. Some very whimsical, interesting spin on that base title is what a lot of people use, but there have been quite a few of these videos popping up time and time again. I'd even say more recently, there's been quite a few, even some that I haven't even seen yet. Like the Why Furries Have Such a Bad Reputation video, I haven't even seen that yet, and that came out like a week ago from this point. And probably by the time this video is uploaded, there will likely be another furry convention video. Why are there so many non-furry and normie YouTubers researching and talking about the furry fandom now more than ever? The easy answer to that, I'd like to argue, is that the furry fandom is growing bigger and bigger. I hate to admit it, but furry has become a lot more mainstream in the recent years, especially after COVID and lockdown, where a lot of people were just terminally online and the furry fandom kind of blew up in terms of internet popularity, with many people discovering it, doing like deep dives, going down rabbit holes, and then 3 a.m. you discover some video from me and you're like, what's this thing? And then, oh, you're here so many years later, and oh hey, you're going to Anthrocon this year, good for you. But it just goes to show that the furry fandom has flourished in many different ways, for better or worse depending on how you look at it. And you've especially seen it with these YouTube videos of people infiltrating furry conventions and experiencing them for the first time. Now the reason why I'm actually doing this video in the first place is because I saw a tweet from my friend Neon Wolf that kind of inspired this discussion today. He tweeted back in April, I'm taking a while to make these videos. No, like, why are they obsessed with pictures of these videos in question? They posted a follow-up reply saying, my point isn't that they shouldn't go, it's that they treat furries as a spectacle, like they have to go undercover to attend a convention, and they always arrive at the same milquetoast conclusion, that we're just goofy, fun-loving people. It feels manufactured and exploitative. Which this tweet actually got me thinking about the intention behind these videos in the first place. Is it actually exploitative in the sense where they're coming into the community, poking at the bear a little bit, or poking at the fish tank, looking at the weird fish, and when they get what they want, they move on to the next interesting thing? Like furries are, what Neon says, a spectacle to them? Is it actually true? Is there a reason for these videos to be made in the first place? Should they even be made? The list goes on and on for the different questions you could ask about this subject, about these specific videos. And there used to be a time where a lot of the infiltration videos you'd see from non-furries going to conventions were the ones where they're trolling the furries, or getting kicked out of furry conventions, or those prank channels that come by and just downright sexually harass furries, or bother them to the point where they got to get kicked out by con staff, and then they have the video title of, I got kicked out from a furry convention, and it's like, yeah, no figure, dude. You just sexually assaulted a guy in a convention space. Furry or not, what is wrong with you? But you gotta remember that everyone has different levels of being introduced to the community, and there are still people that are being introduced to furries as we speak that might not know much about it. We've been through countless different eras of misinformation with people who only really had the assumption that furries were what was featured in that CSI Furry episode, that furries are sex pests. It's no secret that furries have outlived a lot of that negative stigma, a lot of that negative attention, and are still here thriving, doing their own thing. And so even from like an onlooker, from someone who might not know much about the community, that might be fascinating. Like, these people have existed for so long and I've only really seen them from a distance or on like social media with like some really buff fursuiter, and then like, wow, that looks really cool, what is this about? And you can only get so much online, but the experience of really what the community is about comes from going to these conventions or to these IRL furry events. And so that's why a lot of people are inclined to do these videos, going undercover at a convention. Granted, the whole act of them doing it isn't them going undercover, it's just them titling the video that way so it seems interesting to click on. Like, think about it this way, if you just saw a random video pop up on your feed of some Joe Schmo, uninteresting thumbnail that said, "I went to a furry convention," would you click on that? Seriously. Or would you rather click on the Mr. Beast video that's recommended with all the flashy colors and then the title? So to the extent of being a YouTuber and covering your experience at a furry convention, it's really just what it is at the end of the day. I went to a furry convention and had a good time. So did everyone else in the furry community who's still here and going to cons. But the way you gotta really spin it or embellish it to some extent needs to make it interesting so that people are like, oh wait, you spent 200 days undercover as a furry? That's crazy and fascinating, so you want to learn more about that and watch it. That's a whole judge a book by its cover nature of YouTube, which I've talked about time and time again, and especially in this video on my secondary channel about kind of my experience with being a full-time YouTuber, let alone being a furry YouTuber, which I will say I feel like I did a really great job with that video, so please go and watch that if you haven't already. Don't know why I put it on the Boodles channel. It probably should have been a main channel video, but I worked really hard on it. It's a little long, but if you want to go and watch it, feel free to do so. I appreciate it. Another thing to think about as well is kind of the perspective of this, like understanding that when you're a furry looking at these non-furries go to conventions, you're like, well, yeah, no shit. You went to a convention and had a good time. That's pretty cool. All of us here have done that. But from the perspective of some non-furry or normie who hasn't ever really experienced what the furry community is like IRL, maybe they've experienced it a little bit on social media or maybe did a little bit of research on it, but they haven't seen or experienced furries in everyday life. They're going out of their way to a convention to experience it. So to them, it's kind of their first time encapsulating that experience that we might have cherished at our first conventions. I mean, hell, the takeaways that some of these videos have are very, very positively driven, and it just kind of highlights what the community is about. I know this might be more of a discussion of how YouTube has changed in like titling and thumbnails and like the era of like trying to get people to watch your shit based on making the most interesting goddamn titles and thumbnails out there. So with that in mind, you know, I'd like to think that there is some genuine nature to it, that there is some good intention, some fascination with the community. Like even my own personal example, like firsthand experience of seeing some of these YouTubers do this. Back in like 2019, I was at Anthro, Ohio, and I was going around with my friend Luminix, handling for them while they were in fursuit. And we were walking along one of the hallways, and then some guy in a suit and a microphone came by and he's like, I am this, and this with like a Christian gospel thing. Would you like to talk about this? And he held a mic up to Lumi's face. And I had some bad ick from this guy. And so I just took Lumi and then I pushed him to the side and it's like, we're going on, have a good day. And we just completely ignored him and just went away. 20 minutes later, I checked Twitter and he's being escorted out of the furry convention by the staff. So, yeah. So it's really weird. I don't want to disagree with Neon's point because their feelings about YouTubers doing this is valid. Like if you're looking at it this way and also just kind of looking at the frequency of these videos happening, then yeah, it's a little bit like suspicious. Like, okay, are furries just this kind of spectacle, this fascination to look at? And the takeaway at the end of the day is what they say, that furries are people who have this weird hobby and they're doing their thing and that's pretty cool and they find it interesting. At the end of the day, I would prefer them have the good, positive, honest experience about the community rather than trying to cause trouble and trying to cause problems. I guess the takeaway from me with looking at all of these different videos is as long as they are being respectful of the community and being honest about their experience, there's nothing wrong with it. You could argue potentially that it's putting a spotlight on the furry fandom more and more as, you know, seeing them as a spectacle, which might not be good for the community at the end of the day with bringing people into it that may not actually need to be a part of it. But again, that to some extent goes into the realm of gatekeeping. So I don't really know where to go with this. This whole thing could be like a big debate. That's why I kind of wanted to do this video at the end of the day. It just seems so fascinating to discuss this. And I like to hope that even my feelings with talking about this video might kind of carry over into how some people might want to be even doing these undercover furry convention infiltration videos in the first place. But in the times that I have seen these infiltration videos come up, there have been a good few. I have a good list of like 10 or so here that I'd like to actually share if you guys want to check them out. We infiltrated a furry convention and had a great time by Strange Ions. That is like one of the OG videos I absolutely loved. I'm a little biased with it because I do show up for like a split second in the video where I'm talking to some friends in the background, and that made me excited to have like a beta spotted in the wild moment. And granted, I didn't even hear or see about it till years later, but that video was pretty good. I spent 200 days undercover as a furry by Anthony Poe. No, I can't really recommend that one personally. You Work with Furries and Don't Even Know It by Men at Work podcast. That is an excellent podcast installment, I will say. It's literally just like guys that set up at a furry convention in one of like the convention spaces out by the side, and then like furries come and go, fursuiters come by, they sit down, talk with these guys, and they're just yapping about like whatever interest they have in the community, whatever thing they do on the side with it, whether it's like work or another hobby. And it's like guys that are just fascinated with the subculture and what everyone's doing, and like learning more about the people in it. I Became a Furry ... by Ben of the Week. I haven't seen that one, but I've heard some pretty good things about it, so feel free to check that out on your own end. Midwest Fur Fest by All Gas No Brakes. That's just more of a funny one, but I know the original creator of All Gas No Brakes doesn't really associate with the channel anymore. Furry for a Day by Condensed Nuts. That's one of my personal favorites. They went to Anthro New England. They ended up interviewing me later too after the convention, which I really loved talking with them. They're such a sweet guy. So go and check out their video. They did an excellent job on that. Also, they're a furry now. So it's not just people who are coming and going just for the sake of making a video. They're actually like really enjoying the community. I went undercover to a furry convention by Love Live Serve. Excellent video. Again, can't recommend it enough. Really enjoyed the takeaway and really enjoyed the nonchalant, chill interviews, talks with the fur meet attendees and the fursuit maker. It was fun. It was fun-spirited through and through. I spent 17 hours at a furry convention. Here's What Happened by Preston DuPont. That one was an excellent one. They just kind of went to Anthro New England. Again, everyone's going to the Boston furry convention for some reason. But that was a really fun video. They seemed to have a good time, and I really liked their experience with it. Truth About Furry Conventions by Ethan Nestor. This goes without saying that it's an excellent video. Just go and watch it, but I'm sure you probably already have. I interviewed furries at the Midwest Fur Fest convention by Mr. Crunches. That was actually what started my interest in these furry convention infiltration videos that I was seeing at the time on YouTube, and they did an excellent job just kind of going around interviewing furries and just talking about the experience they had at the con. And Lunacy at the Furry Convention by Swell Entertainment. I mean, I'm subscribed to their channel now and actively watch their videos because they're just really entertaining. So yeah, go and watch their video on that. There are plenty of these furry convention infiltration undercover videos that you can choose from, all with their own different unique experiences, different editing styles, and different takeaways, all kind of coming together in this idea that furries are people who enjoy this weird hobby and just want to do their own thing and enjoy the community that they have, and that's really it. The fact that there are even people that are interested in seeing what the community is about and experience it should just go to show how special of a community that furry is. Wow, I didn't even mean to leave it off on a very optimistic note on that sense. Look, I'm happy with this. I had a good yap sesh. So on that note, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts and feelings on everything that we discussed today. And here's the thing, if you don't enjoy the videos that they're putting out, you don't really want non-furries coming in to make videos about the community, just don't pay attention to the videos. Just don't give them attention. I know it's really hard because furries love attention and that's just sort of a stereotype with the community. Just don't give it attention. Put your effort into other creators if you'd like. Raise them up if you'd like. And hey, that even goes for me, which if you enjoyed this video and want to support me further, shameless self-promotion, be sure to check out my Patreon. You get access to videos before they're uploaded, polls for whatever video you want me to do in the future, your name in the description, and I want to start some like Patreon exclusive community things. So if you want to help build up that community there, feel free to check out my Patreon. It helps support me and helps support these videos. But that's about it for me. Take care, guys.